You were listening to a Nerd Room podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Be sure to check out more from the Star Wars Commonwealth on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Room. We talk all things Star Wars, Marvel, and DC. This is episode number 118, where we're discussing Infinity War, Star Wars Day, and the brand new Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer. I'm your host, Tim.
And I'm Sunjay.
And the musical chairs of the Nerd Room podcast continues.
I know, you should have a contest. Guess the co-host of next week, and you win a prize.
It's always different. Troy unfortunately could not make the recording this evening, and we have to give a shout out to Kyle, who joined us last week in the place of Sunjay. But this week, you got Sunjay and I, and we're going to be discussing kind of all the news we've missed over the last couple weeks of Infinity War coverage. But we're also going to get into Sunjay's thoughts on Avengers Infinity War, because unfortunately, you weren't here for our review.
That's
and
right.
You must have some things to say about it.
I do. You know, coming into this movie, super hyped. I mean, we're talking about 10 years of build-up, and I listened to your guys' podcast, and I was like, you know what? They did a really good job explaining a lot of stuff that I actually really liked as well. So, I mean, should we go into it now? Or?
Well, we're going to jump into our Week in Nerd first.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a few big days that rolled by over the last week or two that we're going to discuss. And then we'll jump into your mini review of Avengers Infinity War. And then we're actually going to talk a little bit about Avengers 4. It's a topic we didn't really get to cover in much detail last week because it was the longest podcast we've ever recorded.
Well, you know, we don't even know if we're getting an Avengers 4 yet. Let's not jump the gun here.
Yeah, we got to make sure the box office does well, the reception from the fans.
Yeah, it's kind of lukewarm right now. I don't know if people really want an Avengers 4 at this point.
Yeah, who knew?
Imagine how disappointing if that's how the MCU ended.
That was just black screen.
Yeah. Oh, can you imagine? It would be like the most depressing ending for a film franchise of all time.
Actually, while we're talking about that, we're going to tag this with a little bit of spoilers. We're going to go into our Weekend Nerd first, but we don't want to spoil anything. We're still only about 10 or 12 days out from the actual release of the film, so cautious here. We're going to try to make sure we tag spoilers on the discussion of Infinity War, so you guys can skip ahead 5-10 minutes and make sure, if you haven't seen the film, that you don't get spoiled by this. At this point, it's going to be hard to dodge all those spoilers, but we're still going to kind of provide that bubble for everyone, because we don't want to spoil this movie, because it's really worth going and seeing in theaters, because there's some really, really epic scenes in here and some really unexpected things, as we discussed last week.
Oh, yeah. And like, as you said, like, I stayed off Twitter and like I saw it, and I was so thankful, because, you know, getting this movie spoiled would probably be like one of the worst. It would be like if they had like the internet around with like Empire Strikes Back or something.
Yes.
And you're like, what? Why are all these posts of like dads on Twitter? Like, I don't get it. And then you see it, you're like, why Twitter?
You know how proud that makes me, Sanjay, that you just dropped a nice, beautiful Star Wars reference?
Oh, you know,
your analogy was Star Wars focused. You've come a long way.
It actually made sense.
It made perfect sense.
I didn't want to say like a Rogue One and he finds out that he's his father or something.
You've got this down, man. You've got it down. 118 episodes and you're there.
Yo, Solo coming up in 2 weeks now.
2 weeks, man. I'm so stoked for that. We got our tickets. Bought them, I think, about 15 for us.
Wow, so we're not going solo.
No, we're not. We're going as a big group, but you're going as Chewbacca.
That's right, yeah. I got the costume already. It's going to be pretty epic, like I'm going to say. I'm pretty proud of what I found on the internet.
Oh, I can't wait. I have this, there's this little smirk on Sunjay's face, and there's going to be a little twist to this. I'm not presuming you're going full Chewbacca. I'm guessing there's a little bit of a loophole here for our boy Chop Rules.
You never go full Chewbacca.
Speaking about Star Wars, we'd like to wish everyone a belated May the 4th be with you.
That's right, yeah.
Star Wars Day passed by us last Friday.
Wow.
And it's one of my favorite days of the year. It's kind of a day I kind of reflect a bit outside of every other Tuesday that we reflect a bit on Star Wars.
Or whenever you enter this room.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a time that I think a lot of people really get into Star Wars. There's a lot of Star Wars t-shirts out there. There's some really cool stuff on the internet. People really getting into things. The guys at San Diego Sabres Radio Podcast, they were on one of the local news networks teaching the hosts how to do lightsaber dueling.
Cool.
So there's a lot of really cool stuff and people get into it, which I kind of like. I like when the outside of fandom really embraces it a bit more. It's kind of along the same lines as when we get into the kind of the era or the time frame of the films.
Right.
People get really hyped, really into it. You see people kind of coming out of the woodworks. So I really enjoy Star Wars Day just for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was lucky enough, actually, I scooted by the Disney store, which usually does a small collecting drop. So there'll be something special for Star Wars Day. And to be honest with you, I didn't do any research. I just kind of assumed I was going down that way anyways. I dropped by and they had this beautiful Darth Vader Return of the Jedi 35th anniversary 6-inch Elite Series, this die-cast model. And it looks gorgeous. I walked into the store and I saw it and I grabbed it. It was the last one on the shelf. One of the workers comes up and says, "You're lucky." This was at about maybe 10:30 or so. And I said, "Why?" She said, "That's the last one. I'm surprised it's still here."
Wow.
They only had 8 shipped to the store.
Wow. That's pretty crazy.
I'm pretty stoked about the face sculpts. That's something Troy and I have been hammering on about for probably the last 2 years with these Elite series, and they seemingly have finally nailed it. This face sculpt on the Vader, it's a maskless Vader, is incredible. Like, really well done, really well detailed. It's by far the best face sculpt I've seen on the Elite series. This ranks up with something that's really well done in the Black series. I'm really impressed by this.
Yeah, it looks really cool. And I love the packaging as well. And you got the poster there.
Yeah.
It's just a really nice figure and a really nice package. I really like that they went the extra mile and they actually threw together like a nice package. It is something special.
Yeah, exactly. And the Star Wars Day, like in the past, they've done the prototype Boba Fett. They have this. I can't remember what they did last year, but it's nice to know that they always put a little something out. There's a lithographic set that they had put out and some other small little piece of merchandise. But I just grabbed this. I like commemorating the day. Like I said in the past, when we're talking about collecting, I like to have a story behind everything, every piece that I collect. And that, again, goes into the vault as another great story. Just walking in and being like, all right, collecting came up Tim today. I'm really happy for this.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I mean, I love when that happens, and the odds were ever in your favor that
They
day.
sure were. Now, we also, the day after that, on Revenge of the 5th, the 5th of May, the first Saturday in May, there's always free comic book day. Did you manage to get down to one of the shops? I know you were sick.
Yeah.
Did you manage to get down there to pick up anything?
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to, but I had my brother who lives close to a comic shop. I was like, "Can you stop and pick me up a comic?" So by the time he did, though, he's like, "Oh, they only have like the DC Girls one."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay, whatever. I'll give it to my daughter." So I got it. He gave it to me. I gave it to my daughter. She absolutely loves that thing. She's like reading it. She's like looking through it. She's naming all the characters. So that's very smart. You know, get them in early, and yeah, hats off. She loves it, and it's actually a pretty cool story. So it's a pretty cool line. It's all like they're all younger and they're going to school together. They obviously toned down a lot of stuff because Harley Quinn's in it and stuff. So and they obviously dress differently as well. So yeah, no, hats off. That's a great book, and she loves it. So DC's got a new fan.
What was the DC release? I didn't
So
see
there
it
was
either when I was in
that,
there.
and then there was DC Nation, which I believe, I can't remember, it was 25 cents if you got it early, or it may have been free for free comic book day. I can't remember, but it has 3 different stories in it, and I was able to get them on hold, one of the ones for 25 cents.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. So it has like a one about like Justice League, a Batman, and I think a Superman story. So
Okay, I didn't see that there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I do have it. But I'm dying to read it.
Yeah, I managed to get there as well. I went a little late. I was expecting not to get everything, but the comic book shop up the road from me here at Phoenix Comics Southwest, shout out.
Nice plug.
Yeah. They had the Avengers book as well as the Star Wars Adventures. This is the Solo and Chewbacca version. I think I can't remember if this is actually part of the Star Wars Adventures line or if this is specific to Free Comic Book Day. But this is much more of the kind of child-esque art form, kind of trying to, again, get young readers into comic books. And I also picked up for my daughter too. I picked her up the DC Superheroes little comic as well.
Oh, nice.
And then there's a Disney Princess comic too.
Cool.
So I picked them both up for her. She was upstairs flipping through them all. We read through it was an Ariel based story.
Yeah.
The Disney princesses. So again, like you, I had a similar experience where it was like, I saw them, I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Give them to them. They like flipping through them. Nice little stories and kind of introduce them to some of the characters. So I was pretty pleased with that as well.
Yeah, it's a nice avenue. I mean, as a kid growing up, I would have been jonesing for this. You know, I didn't really read comics until later on in life.
No, and it's all about that little avenue in too. And I know our dude Grabs Granite was out there too, grabbing some issues as well. So shout out to everyone who got out and supported their local comic book shops, because the big thing that a lot of people don't know about is that the comic book shops actually pay for those.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they give them away. And so when you go in there, I always try to spend an extra buck or two. I bought an action figure while I was in there, and I bought a couple other comic books from the week before just to support them, because it's meant to be a way to drive people into and get reading comic books.
Right.
And it's at their expense, out of their own pocket. So that's why going to the day of, supporting them a little bit, grabbing a few extra things off the shelves that I usually wouldn't buy.
Right.
Or that I hadn't planned on buying on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah.
So yeah, great thing to get out there and support them. And with the Marvel book, though, they put out, this is kind of the prelude to the new Earth's Mightiest Heroes Avengers, the new Avengers line that's going back to the big three with Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. This is written by Jason Aaron, drawing by Sarah Pichelli. Looks great. It was a little bit of a story that kind of throws back to the start of Marvel Legacy. And then there's a bit of the new Captain America that's coming from the writer of the current Black Panther series as well.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about that. Really good intro stories in here. Probably not something you need to jump into the books, but they've done this in the past that as they go into launch phase for new volumes of books, they use Free Comic Book Day as kind of that primer for it. So I'm sure if you're near a comic book shop or even digitally online, I think you can go down and probably download them for free now.
Yeah, that's right.
And just get them, read them, and then you have them there. So you can use the Marvel app or the DC app probably. Does DC have an app?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So you can, maybe Comixology as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely a really great day. Something I look forward to every year. And there's a lot of people hyped about it. It was probably the busiest I've seen my local comic book shop here ever.
That
really.
probably, has something to do with Infinity War coming out.
A little bit, yeah.
So you mentioned Avengers. Now, if I want to pick this up, I haven't been keeping up with Marvel, but I always say I want to pick up one Marvel book. Can I jump straight into this new Avengers story, or is there some backstory you need to fill me in on?
You may need to just read. There's a book that came out, Marvel Legacy. It was like an 80-pager or a big, thick book.
Yeah.
And it kind of went back to the 1 million BC Avengers.
Okay.
So some of that story is picked up in here. But to be honest with you, you probably can just get it. It serves as more of a primer to the story that's going to be happening in modern day.
Okay.
And I've seen other comic books, like start of runs and that start with something like this to kind of give you a bit of background, and then they fill in the story as the main run goes.
Right.
So you're probably okay. You could probably jump straight into this kind of feet first deep end with this Avengers book, because it comes down to the familiarity with Iron Man's back, Thor's back. He's worthy Thor now, and Captain America's back.
Perfect.
So you've got the big three, the people are familiar. Again, this is kind of aligning with Infinity War, the familiarity of characters coming out of that, and people driving themselves into comic book shops. They want something familiar. So they have a tendency to do this, and I'm happy with them. I'm happy to have the big three back. They're flanked by, I think, Ghost Rider, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, She-Hulk. So characters, again, that are quite prominent, especially with Black Panther and Captain Marvel coming down the pipe too. So I think it's a great book, great intro book for people to jump into. So Avengers, I think it comes out within the next couple of weeks. And then the new Captain America book drops on July 4th. Appropriately.
Oh, cool. Nice plug. Okay, I'll have to check one of those out.
Yeah, so the other thing that I want to quickly talk about while we're doing our Week in Nerd here is the Calgary Comic and Entertainment Expo.
Yes.
Did you manage to get down to the floor this year?
Fortunately, no. I was so sick. I couldn't even get out of bed, and it killed me. But it was really cool because our buddy Izzy Nobre, on Twitter, he was putting up pictures, and I don't think he has his video out yet.
No.
But yeah, he was putting up pictures. So while I was laying in bed, I was checking it out. So I was like, oh, cool. Like there's that. So really cool that he did that. So it let me follow along. But unfortunately, no. For the first time in probably 6 years, I wasn't able to make it because I was sick. But Tim, did you make it out?
I did indeed. I went down on Sunday, so it runs from Thursday through Sunday.
That's right.
Went on the last day to try to get a few deals, but my big thing was I took my daughter. This is the first time I've taken her. I took her in a stroller, I think, last year. But this is the first time I got her to kind of actually experience it. So we dressed her up. She has a Rey costume. Dressed her up in that. My wife did the hair.
Wow.
And we went, and I said, because when we were down in Disney World, she really liked meeting the characters. And I said, there's going to be people dressed up as different characters. So she's really into it. I didn't really flip through any comic books. I wasn't really looking for much.
Yeah.
I did get a few vintage action figures because she was flipping through bins of toys, and I'm flipping through bins of toys over here. So kind of doing the same thing. We're both yelling back and forth. I got a pony. And I got Admiral Akbar.
Pretty much the same.
Yeah, but same.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. It was a really cool experience to have. And then we took her over to you know where they did the signings and autograph, and usually the 501st, the Stormtrooper Infantry
at the Big Four building. Yeah.
And so they usually do like a photography. So you donate $5-10 to their Make-A-Wish campaign.
Oh yes.
And you can take a picture with Chewie and Leia it was the garbage compactor they had set up, and then they had a Tatooine set where they had Kylo Ren, some sand people, and they also had an R2-D2 rolling around as well. So we got pictures with all these guys for, I think we made a $10 donation. And she loved it. She was having a ball. She adores Princess Leia right now.
Awesome.
She's really into princesses.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's a princess in Star Wars. She went up and hugged this lady, held her hand for the pictures.
That's awesome.
She wanted to be Princess Rey and I was like, that's not canon. But yeah, she was super excited. So that, for me, was a very different experience than I've had in the past, kind of running around the floor, being a crazy person, trying to catch all the panels. I didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
It was all focused on her. And whoa, what a blast. It was just an absolutely perfect afternoon to go and take her and show her different things.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a day that, she may not remember 20 years from now, but I'm sure you're never going to forget that.
100%. And the 3 action figures I got are going to be permanently tied. The little vintage action figures are permanently tied to that memory I have. So super excited about that. And, Calgary Expo, it's now going to be a different experience for me. Mm-hmm. It's not about that 3 days of grinding on the floor, finding the comics and all that. Yeah. It's going to be about her and taking her and letting her enjoy it.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what it's all about. I mean, and that's the cool thing when people cosplay and stuff, and then you see the characters, especially when they're little kids and they see like someone dressed up as Princess Leia, as you said, or Darth Vader. To those kids, those are the real people.
Exactly.
I mean, and even the people that cosplay, I'm sure it probably feels pretty great when a little kid comes up to you and says, "Excuse me, like, can I have my picture with you?" Like, that just makes it all worth it. It's just such a fun, like nerd atmosphere. It's like this nerd globe. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's just such a cool, like, warming, welcoming experience. Yeah. Every time I go there, you just see the interactions between people, and it's just warms your heart, man. It's good.
People are very happy there.
Yeah, like no one's like there like being a curmudgeon, like, no, screw you, Justice League,
boycott Solo.
Yeah, right. It's nice. Like people, like probably a lot of people probably dressed up like Solo. Maybe not this year, or maybe next year.
There's a huge Chewbacca there.
Oh, really?
I should have took notes. This guy was like 8.5 feet tall.
He's probably just 2 short people in a trench coat.
Yeah, he's definitely on like pegs. Because I went and watched. They did a cosplay parade on Thursday down the street from my work. So I went and watched that. But this guy was huge. It was awesome. So yeah, shout out to all the cosplayers, all the people that put the time, effort into those costumes, the detail. It's immaculate what they do, especially the 501st guys. Oh, like the trooper costumes. There's a Phasma. It's unbelievable what they do. So huge shout out to those guys, and thank you for providing a great afternoon for myself and my daughter.
Awesome.
Yeah, so let's jump into some news here. We're going to intersperse the news with a couple of listener questions because they attach a little bit to the next couple of segments we're going to do here. We're going to jump straight into Marvel discussion.
All right.
And before we get to your review of Infinity War, I just got to talk about the box office again here.
Oh, what a story.
Oh my. Like it was relatively expected.
Yeah.
They had that huge opening, $258 million domestically. $640 million globally.
That's insane.
It's now officially past the $1 billion mark in 11 days, the fastest movie to ever do that, topping the 12 days it took The Force Awakens to do it.
Wow.
So it's outpacing The Force Awakens globally, but not nearly domestically, because in the 10 days that Infinity War has been out domestically, it's pulled in $450 million. That includes this past weekend. The Force Awakens in those same 10 days did $540 million.
That's insane. That's like absolutely insane. Like those numbers don't even make sense.
None whatsoever. I looked at it and I was like, whoa, they're this far apart?
Yeah.
And Infinity War this past weekend had the second largest second weekend of all time with $112 million. But it's only $1 million more than Black Panther.
Really?
Yeah, Black Panther did $111 million in its second weekend.
Wow, so that surprises me because like there's not a lot of competition this week for Infinity War.
It seems when you compare Infinity War to Star Wars that it was very front-loaded.
Yeah.
Like very front-loaded with the $258 million. Most people went and saw this in their first couple days of release, because even if you look at the Monday through Thursday on their second week or first full week of release, it's like $20-30 million less than each individual Star Wars day.
Oh, okay.
So it's not playing to the same volume over the individual days as Star Wars was during the same time period. It just played bigger on the first couple of days.
Do you think they made a mistake not releasing this in summer? Because like during the week, in summertime, kids can go all day, but like during May and April, people are at work, people are at school. I know summer is busier. There's a lot of movies coming down the pipeline in summer. But do you think like maybe they could have pushed this to Christmas or something,
Well, that's what I was going to say, because you look at the biggest movies of all time, Force Awakens, Avatar, Titanic, The Last Jedi, they're all released around Christmas.
Right.
Infinity War has the best shot at becoming the first $2 billion movie that wasn't released around Christmas time.
Wow.
But could it have done better around Christmas? Maybe. Like, that seems to be the Goldilocks zone for box office numbers as it relates to films.
Mm-hmm.
And not so much this May into summertime, because I'm not sure. I guess a lot of people are off or more willing to go to the theaters, but you think almost that the psychology would be a bit reversed. It's colder. Well, maybe in Canada. It's colder outside. You have a tendency to want to go be in malls, go to the movie theater. Whereas here, I find myself skipping a lot more movies unless they're the big event films like your Solos, Deadpools, or Infinity War. So, yeah, I think the strategy of it all might be a little different, because Black Panther probably played more like a winter film because of its release in February, at least for kind of north of whatever, Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, not to take anything away. I mean, as we said, this movie's killing it. Yeah, like this movie's already in the black. Like this movie's already made profit, which is crazy.
Well, it's good. It's making Avengers 4, like I said last week, all gravy.
Yeah.
Like this film, the gross of this is going to pay for everything they did in those two films.
Yeah.
And Avengers 4, whatever it makes, is going to be all money in the bank.
Oh.
All paid off, written off. So given that,
yes,
it's time to hear your review. So we're gonna tag this with spoilers.
Okay.
Going forward for the next, say, 5 or so minutes, I might put a timestamp in there as well.
Yeah, I have
maybe
no
10
idea
minutes.
how much I'm gonna gush about this film. But,
yeah, but we want to give you an opportunity to kind of lay out some of your thoughts. If you had any issues with the film, what were some of your favorite parts of the film? Were you happy with the ending? So spoilers for Avengers: Infinity War here, and just skip ahead, try 5 minutes, try 10 minutes, and I'll put a timestamp in the show notes to allow you to know how far to jump so that you're not getting spoiled by anything here. So
you're just going to yell spoilers every 5 seconds.
Yeah,
so if
just
you
like
don't
you
hear
did that one
Tim, yeah.
remember me screaming. So lay it on us, Sunjay.
All right.
What is your thoughts on Avengers: Infinity War?
So keep in mind, when I did see this film, I was super sick. Like
Half dead.
I was pretty much half dead. I dragged my butt to the theater. And, so keep that in mind. I absolutely love this film. Like, how could you not love this film? Like, this is such a fun film. The action was great. The fight scenes were amazing. And I just can't say enough good things. Like, this was such a fun movie. This is going to be such a rewatchable film. Like, no matter where this is on TV, whenever you find it on that channel, you're going to stay till the end. Because, like, there's so much cool scenes that is like, oh, okay, you're halfway through. Oh, who cares? But this scene's coming up and that scene's coming up. Like, oh, man. There's, like... you get, like, thinking about, okay, is this, like, the rankings? Like, is this the best MCU film? And I really love Black Panther. And that, and it's crazy because, like, that was just the last one. And I said Black Panther was my favorite MCU film of all time. But, like, when you add in, like, the 18 previous films building into Infinity War... I'm sorry, Black Panther, but I'm going to have to say Infinity War was ahead of it in the MCU rankings.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, we can get into, like, other rankings, but, like, just for purely MCU rankings, it's number one for me. It's so much fun. It's like an amusement park ride almost, where you just, like, strap in and just enjoy all the cool stuff that you're seeing. Like, it's crazy, like, what they were able to do with the amount of characters that were in it, and to make it as enjoyable and make it, like, make sense. Like, as someone that, like, doesn't follow comics, my wife was like, like, I actually was able to follow the story. Like, it didn't, like, jump around too much. Like, it all made sense.
Yeah.
Like me, who's read, like, Infinity Gauntlet, was like, okay, like, I kind of know, like, Thanos' deal. Like, he wants the glove. He wants to impress Death, was the comic version. Now, this one here, he just wants to kind of be, like, an altruistic, where he's like, I'm going to, kill half the population for them to live.
It's like the greater good thing, right?
Yeah, he must have studied Malthus in economics. Yeah. So, like, the part of changing Thanos, it's like, okay, he's more relatable. I don't know too much about Thanos in the comics, but what I do know is he's kind of like this despot where he's like, I want to, like, take over the world.
Well, it's he almost verges on that villain that is evil to be evil.
Right.
He doesn't always have the motivation. And that was the struggle with this film, was motivating Thanos to the point where it was, okay, he needs to be on the level of a Killmonger or a Loki, these type of villains, to make this event film feel believable.
Right.
You can't just have a guy running around saying, I'm in love with death, and I'll do whatever you want to impress you. Like, that isn't motivation enough to drive the narrative of a film this big.
No.
And I think they nailed it. And by the sounds of it, you feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think even Marvel wasn't 100% sure which route they wanted to take Thanos, because if you watch, I think it was Guardians of the Galaxy, he's sitting on the throne. He's like, fine, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
He kind of like that. They could have went that route and he would have been more menacing, but he wouldn't have been as, not endearing, but he wouldn't have been as like interesting.
Yeah.
As this Thanos is.
Well, you need a character and a villain. This is something we talk about in the retrospective and all our film reviews. You need a villain that believes their cause.
Yeah.
So no matter if it's right or wrong, that villain has to believe in it the same way that Eric Killmonger did in Black Panther. He believed in his cause.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that weight behind the villain and those driving motivations, you just don't believe it. You can't grasp onto it. It could have really devolved into just a punch fest.
Yeah.
And it just all the CGI thrown at the wall, and they just were like, okay, here it is. And it wasn't that. It was a very personal Thanos story. Much more. That was one of the things that blew me away the most. Like, did you get that it was a much more of a Thanos hero's journey arc rather than a Marvel comic book character, a hero character movie?
Absolutely. Like, if you look at the screen time, I don't know, someone's gonna probably do like a stopwatch of how much screen time he's in, but definitely Thanos is in it for the most. As you said, like, it's his journey. He goes through the beginning, he goes through that hero's journey, and he succeeds at the end.
Yeah.
Like, how many movies do you have where the villain succeeds? Like this and Empire Strikes Back.
Well, that yeah. Well, you have to believe that Thanos is the villain.
Yeah.
To have that opinion too, right? So some of the reviews I was reading on Rotten Tomatoes, I was kind of just scrolling through. I just wanted to see why people weren't liking it, or the critics weren't liking it, and a lot of it was too big of a film.
Yeah.
And the ending didn't make sense. The Thanos, or the villain himself, just was a villain for the sake of being a villain. And I thought to myself, are these guys watching the same movie? Like, am I that biased towards this that I'm seeing things that aren't there? And I just don't believe that like, the movie ends the same way any hero movie ends, with the hero on top, and it abruptly ends, but he's gone through his journey. His story is finished. It's complete. It's like the end of Iron Man 3 or whatever, when he throws the thing into the water and then it just ends.
Yeah.
I am Thanos.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's very interesting you bring that up, because if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, which, I don't necessarily agree with, but it's at, I think, 84%, which is a very strong score. But when you compare it to the rest of the MCU, it's middle of the pack.
Yeah, it is. It's like, it's sitting, I think, Ragnarok's higher, Civil War is higher, Black Panther's higher. All really great films, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And in certain elements, they are maybe better, but I'm aligned with you. Like, you look at the audience score, it's like 90 some odd %.
Yeah, I think the audience score is number 1.
Yeah.
But the critic score, I think, is like just above Guardians number 2 and just below Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I did enjoy Guardians number 2, but like, this is like, I think like this is a
Head
much,
and shoulders.
yeah,
Like,
I think this is a much stronger film.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe the thing is that, like, we've been watching the retrospective and we've seen all 18 films before. And maybe some of these reviewers haven't. And maybe, they go in and they say, oh, why does Thor, maybe if you missed Ragnarok, you're like, why does Thor have only one eye now and his hair is different? Like, maybe some people didn't like that.
See, I don't know, because we discussed this last week, so I won't go into too much detail, but it'd be like going into The Last Jedi and not watching The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
This is the way that Marvel's produced these films for 10 years. It's not like they just dropped all these in the last, 6 months leading into this film.
Yeah.
This is a long-form storytelling in film. The same way they do it in comic books. You need to watch the films before it. Ragnarok is the movie that comes before Infinity War. So Infinity War is a sequel to Ragnarok. So you have to go into it with the understanding of what this universe is. And based off the box office numbers, enough people have watched all these films to get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely agree. Some negatives of the film. Just a couple things. I didn't like how Thor got his eye back. It kind of seemed like they were kind of like
retconning.
Retconning. Like, he looked cool with the eye patch. He was like a pirate angel baby or whatever they said he was. And I was like, Ragnarok just happened, so it seemed kind of like take away that like impact of that film where he's there and he has one eye, he lost his hair and all that stuff, and he lost some of his powers, and then Rocket's just like, here's your eye back. I get it, because it probably like made sense, and it probably was more comfortable for Chris Hemsworth. And
he didn't. It was all CGI.
Oh, really?
The eye patch. Yeah, he just wore dots in his eye.
Oh, okay.
So, well, here's a question, actually. I'll toss to you, because Kyle threw this to us last week on our review. He asked if what happened in Infinity War lessens the impact or changes your perception of Thor Ragnarok too much. This is one of my favorite movies. I think my favorite movie, I ranked it, of last year.
That's right, yeah.
And what they do at the start of Infinity War is rapidly not change, but they really take apart the ending. This Asgard is the people. We're on this ship. We're sailing somewhere. I think to Earth, they say.
Yeah.
We're sailing somewhere to kind of recreate Asgard. And then you open this film, and it's like, okay, that's not happening. And then they give back Thor's eye. So I'm going to throw that same question to you. Do you feel that this movie takes away from Ragnarok too much, as opposed to Ragnarok adding to this film?
See, I think what they do with the next film will determine that answer, because you still have, I think Thanos only kills half the Asgardians.
Said they're half his people are gone.
So I assume like the big names like Korg and Valkyrie will still be alive.
That's my assumption too, yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine them killing them off. They were such popular characters, and they did really good job in Ragnarok, so why wouldn't you bring them back for Thor 4? Thor 4. That's gonna be a weird thing. But yeah, so how they handle that, like if the Asgardians are able to regroup and be like, okay, let's like rebuild our society kind of thing, because Ragnarok ends on kind of like a hopeful note. We're like, okay, like, Asgard is the people. So in terms of this, like if Thor 4 happens and the Asgardians like get even more like crapped on, and even more people die, then it kind of will take away from Thor Ragnarok, because it's kind of like you expect it to go one way, and it's going to do a complete like 180 and go the complete opposite way you're expecting. So I think how they handle the next Thor film will determine that answer.
Yeah. So I had some time to think about that question from Kyle, and I'm going to throw this kind of to you right now.
Okay.
Do you think Thor needs Asgard or needs the people? Does he need to be a king? Because when I look at him now, he almost fits better as a character, as like the last of his kind. You know what I mean? Like he's the king of nothing. And I kind of like that idea, that he's a bit of a, not so much a nomad because he has no home, but he's the last of his kind. That makes him very special.
Right.
Because the people left over from Asgard, it even says at the opening of this film, we have no warriors aboard. It's mostly just civilian population. How much of an impact can that have? Do you want Thor 4 to be about him trying to build Asgard on Earth as they've done in the comic books? Or would you prefer Thor to be out running around rogue in a Guardians of the Galaxy-esque film, something similar to what he was just in with Ragnarok? He had a few Revenger buddies, but you don't need Asgard to be the base for Thor. You don't need that for his story anymore. So when I look at that, I'm thinking, yeah, I maybe prefer the lack of Asgard and him being just this rogue element that's running around the universe as the last Asgardian.
That's a good point, and I think what it comes down to is who's going to be the villain.
Sure.
Depending on who the villain is, it would make sense maybe if it's an Asgardian villain, then okay, we can keep the Asgardians. But if it's like a completely different villain, I don't even know, some like cosmic villain, that'd make total sense then for Thor to be chasing off and like being kind of like a loner, as you said.
Yeah.
And I do like that aspect, but you kind of get it as well in the Avenger films. Like you get it in the first Avenger, Age of Ultron, and now this one, where it's just kind of Thor because none of the other Asgardians are really there with him. Loki is a bit in the first one and this one a bit, but I don't know. That's interesting. I do kind of like that, last of his kind. And there's not a lot of them if you look at the Marvel universe. I'm just looking at all your action figures here, I'm trying to think who's the last of their kind, but maybe Cap, he's like the last like World War II fighter.
Yeah. Bucky, I guess you got Bucky, in there. Yeah. But you look at even with Thor, they killed off the Warriors 3. We don't know where Lady Sif is. You got Korg, who isn't Asgard, and you got Valkyrie, who's the last of her kind as well, the last Valkyrie. So I like that element of it. So there's a lot you could do there. Mm-hmm. And you could yank in some classic Thor characters that aren't particularly Asgardian, have them pose a threat against the universe or Earth or whatever. And I think you could do a lot there with that kind of narrative or that big arc for Thor about him being the last Asgardian. So that's kind of where I'm sitting with that. Like I think it serves a much better purpose for Thor. And yeah, maybe it takes a little bit away from the ending of the film, but it also works into Thanos, what he's actually done here.
Yeah.
He's literally half of Asgard, and Asgard was already decimated. So I think it weighs a little bit more into that overall. So what are your thoughts on the ending?
Are we talking like the big battle or like the
both? Let's do the Wakandan battle, the Titan battle,
yeah,
and then we'll go into the.
So the Wakandan battle, oh, man, I thought that was so cool when they had the shields up and they had those like cannon fodder trying to get through. They look freaky and they look like little bugs or whatever they were. I thought it was a really cool battle sequence. You got the Avengers showcasing some of their powers. You know, I do agree with you in the review. You said, you know, they did trade a lot of lives to save Vision. That was one part when I was watching when they're saying, you know, we don't trade lives. And I'm like, but how many people are dying out there to save you, lot. Vision? Yeah.
Like, for no real, like, my theory was have it so that they needed to get it out of him, but his body wouldn't let it come out of him. So they had to take it to Wakanda to get it out to destroy. Mm-hmm. So just a little bit more context around they're not just saving this synthetic organism in place of hundreds of Wakandans, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and you could have easily just done something where you download his consciousness on a computer.
Well, going back, do you remember when we talked about the Prelude comic book and Shuri was talking about some weird AI that she had come up with while she was trying to pull apart Winter Soldier's brain to take the Hydra thing out? Mm-hmm. After and in retrospect, I think she might be referring to whatever consciousness she's eventually going to build for a new Vision.
Okay.
So he doesn't need the Mind Stone to function anymore. She can put this AI, and Banner made reference to that as well. There's a lot of parts about him that aren't the Mind Stone. So if she supplements whatever AI she'd come up with out of Winter Soldier with whatever Banner and Stark put into him and Jarvis, then you get something bigger, like this big amalgam that actually turns into a Vision without the stone in his head. So a way to continue the character without having Infinity Stones around anymore. Yeah,
and you know, she's already proven to be more adept at creating the AI because she asked Banner some question. I can't remember what it was, and he's like, "Oh, that's a good idea. I never even thought of that." Yeah. So I thought that was great. And I love that it took place in Wakanda, so you had some of the other tribes from Black Panther in there. That was cool. Yeah, he was a great character. I love that. I would say the CGI, it was really good at some parts, but there's two parts where it really stood out where it was kind of not great.
Which parts? Let's see if the same as ours.
The Hulkbuster. Yeah. Like
at the end?
Yeah, at the end when you look, it stuck out like a sore thumb. Yeah. I was like, I could look past it, but like it wasn't like a shining moment of CGI.
Especially being the end of the film too. Yeah. It's kind of like both times I was like, ooh, that looks a bit out of place. Like and the problem was, and they've shed a little bit more light on this, we saw the Hulk in the trailers, but they admitted that running scene, that was just for the trailer. That was never intended to be in the film.
Gotcha.
And there's kind of those Funko Pops that show Hulk coming out of the Hulkbuster and all that. So I don't know what they did at the end there, but yeah, that really stuck out. Like, I don't know why. It looks like it's just photoshopped in there.
Yeah, maybe he had a mustache or something. Who knows?
You said it, not me.
And the other CGI part was when Thor is going into battle. One of the parts, and he's like flying around, and it just didn't look right to me.
I didn't catch that one.
Yeah, it looked a little bit off because I was watching Thor because he was such an interesting character with his lightning and his power levels, and I was like, okay, I want to see, he's going to do something really cool. And it just showed him flying around, and it just looked a little off. I don't know if it was the scale or what it was, but that was the only, but other than that, like, it was terrific. These are just minor nitpicks. Like, this is like, you get a gourmet meal and you complain because the plate size is two different sizes.
I like that. No, and I think as reviewers, we have the responsibility to go to both ends of the spectrum, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we have to be able to say, look, this was an amazing film, but there's a few little things here. Yeah. So that's just kind of when you get the goggles on for doing the reviews, you kind of see a little bit more into maybe some of the minor flaws of some of these films.
Yeah, so I've only seen it once, as I said, and remind you, like, I was on death's door. So, I can't wait to see this again. I'm going to try get it in theaters, but, the thing is like, already now we got Deadpool coming out, we got Solo coming out, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to see this again in theaters until maybe near the end of its run. I might try. I definitely want to see it at least one more time.
Yeah, I guess in the big screen at least twice.
I agree.
Yeah. The end.
And the snap. I thought, I was expecting this because, I read Infinity Gauntlet and I knew he was going to do it because that's like the defining Thanos moment. It's like having Bane in a Batman movie without doing the back snap.
Exactly.
Right? Like, this is what Thanos is known for. So I knew it was coming. And, I was like, is he going to stop it? And, Thor unfortunately didn't stop it. But man, the emotional heft of this, when you see all the characters like disintegrate in front of your eyes, like, whew.
Yeah. What about Tom Holland and Peter Parker? That was
the best part.
Yeah.
And my wife said after, she's like, I haven't seen the Spider-Man Homecoming, but after seeing that movie, I want to see more of it now.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see that movie because I thought like he did a really good job as Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, and she's gone to all like the Spider-Man films with me except for Homecoming, so now we got a chance to watch Homecoming again. So
Brilliant.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And so overall, gotta ask this at the end of all of our reviews. Do you recommend Avengers Infinity War?
No, not at all. No, if you like fun and you like a good time, stay away from this.
Yeah. Fair enough. That's awesome. I'm glad I got your thoughts there. And we're going to continue this conversation because as we see this more times, as we are now theorizing a bit more going to Avengers 4, we're going to have to bring this and recontextualize some of their ideas and thoughts for the next year. Because it's May 3rd, 2019, when they're going to pick up the threads from this film. So that's a whole year we have to wait.
But luckily, we get a lot of great comic book movies in between.
We do. There's a lot. There's Ant-Man and the Wasp. There's Deadpool's coming out.
Right.
There's Aquaman.
Man.
Your dude.
They never give us a trailer.
Yeah. One day we'll get an Aquaman trailer. I promise we'll talk about it.
It'll be like December 1st or something.
Here it is. But before we get to any more of those, we got to talk quickly here because this is a topic we did not get to last week. Avengers 4. This is a closely guarded secret, the title of this film. And it's been stated because it gives away a potential ending or it alludes to more than they want for Infinity War. So maybe the implications for the end or what's going on. So what are some of the possible titles, given your knowledge from the comic books, given the film itself? What do you think are some of the titles for Avengers 4?
Oh, jeez. They could do something like a catchy catchphrase like snap, crackle, pop.
You out.
They could do something like Return of the Avengers. Or I don't know. Like, it doesn't... They could name it literally Avengers...
Don't come see this.
Yeah. We voted for Trump and people would still go see it.
Wonder why. Well, I'm gonna toss some out here and see how you like any of these. Okay. So there's some of your classics like Infinity Gauntlet, Avengers Infinity Gauntlet.
I like that, yeah.
Avengers Infinity Crusade, which was the follow-up to Infinity War in the comic books. So again, they may just be taking titles, never directly adapting the same way they took Infinity War. There's something really simple, Infinity War Part 2.
I like that.
There's Avengers Disassembled.
Okay, yeah.
There's New Avengers.
Oh, you have like some kids maybe join the team.
Or I guess at the end of the film you have a new set of Avengers in being led by Doctor Strange or Black Panther and our original crew gone or disassembled.
Okay.
There's Avengers Endgame.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, or Avengers The End, maybe. So you remember and this is the reason I'm kind of moving this one around my head a bit, Doctor Strange at one point says, we're in the end game.
That's right, yeah.
And if you go back to Age of Ultron, there's a quote from Tony Stark where he says, we're the Avengers, we can bust arms dealers all the livelong day, but up there, that's the end game.
Right.
So it's a phrase that is common and was notably put into Infinity War. So Avengers the Endgame or Avengers the End, maybe that's a possibility. But here's my favorite.
Okay.
Avengers Forever.
Oh, I like that one. Yeah.
So there's a 12-issue comic book that came out in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And the reason I really like this is that it's a nice final title for this big story. Mm-hmm. This 22 film arc that's coming to some sort of conclusion. Like the MCU is going to continue, but maybe not in the same form that it has been in the past. So Avengers Forever, the title here, or the actual event book, it's about a team of Earth's mightiest heroes that assemble from across the different eras.
Oh.
And so they're dispatched throughout the time stream and to prevent a big event from happening. So when you look at this, you look at what we know a little bit about from the set photos and all that.
Yeah.
We've got different, what seemingly is different eras of Avengers from the films coming together with Ant-Man and all that.
Yeah.
This seems quite plausible that you'll have someone like Ant-Man running through the time stream, different eras, or not so much different dimensions. So you're not messing with the MCU itself.
Yeah.
But you're pulling in different characters from different dimensions or what have you, different eras of the time stream.
Yeah.
And having them fight Thanos in some way. So it becomes a very different type of movie.
Right.
But maybe something that you could really get behind so that you don't necessarily... I don't think they're going to use the time stone.
No, because...
I think it's too easy.
Yeah.
It seems like, we'll just reverse all, it's fine. They can't get away with that. They have to do something that's a bit more impactful. And something like this, time travel, or the quantum realm that's going to be introduced in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and presumably in Captain Marvel. We know that from the shout out in the Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to go down something that route. So Avengers Forever right now is my number one pick.
I like it. Okay, I'm going to go with it. I just thought of two more. So you know how they had Fan 4 stick?
Yeah.
Change the A in Avengers to a 4. So
There you go.
4 Avengers.
It's done.
Or Infinity War. Infinity plus 1 War.
Plus one more.
You like that? Like as a kid, you're like,
Avengers to Infinity and Beyond.
I like that. And then Buzz Lightyear comes.
Yeah, it saves the day. Crossover.
Toy Story and Avengers, 2 of the biggest brands of all time.
You think Avengers Infinity War is a massive crossover.
Yeah, you just wait now. Pixar gets involved.
Yeah. So that's all we're going to talk about Avengers 4. There's going to be a lot discussed.
Oh, yes.
In, I don't know, the next year. We're probably going to have a trailer in 6 months for Avengers 4.
Maybe at Aquaman.
Maybe by December. Maybe by the end of the year. We will, by the end of the year, probably have Avengers 4 trailer.
Oh, I think at San Diego, people are going to be treated to some footage.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
We probably are D23 or something like that.
Yeah. Actually, no, not San Diego, because Marvel's not coming this year.
Oh, they're not?
Yeah,
D23, eh?
Yeah, so I feel bad for all the people that are like, yes, I get to see Avengers 4, and then they're like, oh, Marvel, we're skipping out.
That would be the worst. They're going to show something at D23.
They have
you're right.
to. Yeah.
You're right. So, look at that. July. It's not too long away.
Yeah, only a couple months.
And that will potentially arrive around the same time as Ant-Man and the Wasp.
That's right. Nice segue.
There we go. I've been working on those. So we got a brand new trailer from Ant-Man and the Wasp this past week, rolling off the back end of Avengers Infinity War. 2 characters that, spoilers, 2 characters that were not in Avengers Infinity War.
That's right.
And this movie actually, as we said in the past, actually takes place before Infinity War.
Yeah.
So there's going to be no resolution of what happened in Infinity War, or no even references to it until maybe what would be an after-credits scene. But we did watch a trailer. We're not going to do our normal breakdown. We're just going to kind of talk about it at a high level. Sanjay, your thoughts on how Ant-Man and the Wasp looks?
I took this in our box office
Fantasy draft.
So, to me, this looks fantastic. I actually, honestly, joking aside, this actually looks really good. It looks more of the same from the first, but I think they have a bigger budget with this. There's a little bit better stunts. It looks, you can't help but draw comparisons to sometimes from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, yeah.
When they're like tiny and they see the giant sets and stuff. I think this is cool. It's a very different superhero film. And this one is definitely going to be more comedic.
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to some of the other ones. I mean, a lot of times with the MCU, you do get comedy in this, but I think this one, they won't even try to hide it. Like, even in the trailer, it was a very comedic tone.
Very upbeat
trailer. Yes. And the song, too. It takes 2. And now there's Ant-Man and the Wasp, so there's 2 of them now.
You caught that, did you?
Yeah. And we got Michelle Pfeiffer in here.
Yeah, Pfeiffer.
Coming back. Yeah, Catwoman's coming back. And then you got Perry White. We got
Lawrence
Fishburne in here. So, they're taking all our guys.
Yeah, all the old school DC guys.
Yeah, these are OGs.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the trailer looks fantastic. The film itself, my only worry is this trailer showed a lot.
Yes.
Of maybe some of the more big spots. I'm saying big because we see quite a bit of Giant Man in there as well.
Yeah, there's a little bit more than I was expecting.
Yeah, so there's a lot in that, and we see now 2 different iterations of Wasp using the Pym particles to grow something. We saw the Pez dispenser. We saw the salts in this one, the big salt thing when they're fighting the restaurant.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, but the fight scenes, they look on point. This is, again, taking the Ant-Man and that whole concept to the next level. Because you throw a Wasp in here now, and they're tag teaming people, and she is a badass.
Oh yeah, she brings it in this. Oh
yeah, Hope Van Dyne I think is going to be the breakout in this. Like Paul Rudd is going to be your comedic base, the guy you go to, the dependable actor. But Evangeline Lilly, she's going to be the shining star in this film. You can just tell it from the trailer. Man, I cannot believe how good she looks in this. I'm more excited for the Wasp story than I am for Ant-Man's story.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so few characters. As we had that question before, who can't they do? Yep. We're getting a Wasp story in a major picture, and it's something that I never thought we would get.
No, and we're getting a Wasp story as well in the original Wasp, because Michelle Pfeiffer is playing Janet Van Dyne.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. I don't know a lot about the Wasp, but I know she was in that Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon.
Yeah, she was one of the original Avengers back from 1963.
Wow.
She debuted in the 60s in the Ant-Man book as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember Joss Whedon wanted to add her to the first Avengers, but I think they said no.
Yeah, so Black Widow kind of took her place. There was the need to have and why did they didn't have two? I don't know, but they just didn't have the time to develop a character, because coming into this, I think with Avengers being their first big ambitious crossover, they didn't want to spend a ton of time reintroducing characters or trying to pull someone in, because most people, even the villain, is pre-established going into that.
Right.
They didn't have the ability to just throw you into the deep end and say, oh, hey, it's Captain America, you get a story, it's Thor, da-da-da. Where they have that ability now with Infinity War.
Yes.
You know everyone's backstory.
Oh,
they didn't touch on anything. It's all forward development. Where Avengers, they're still looking back a little bit. They had to reintroduce Steve Rogers. They had to bring Iron Man up to date. They had to get Thor to Earth.
Yeah.
They had to team them up for the first time. So they had to do a lot of building there. So I think having the Wasp now in this franchise is really going to do her a lot more benefit than it would have done sticking her into that and trying to shoehorn her into a film. Because you have to explain the power sets, you have to explain the character, where she came from, where's Hank Pym, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of development to do, and they started that in Ant-Man, and it looks like they're really going to kick it off here in a big way with Janet Van Dyne, Hope Van Dyne, and the whole Wasp moniker getting even in the title, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for this. It's the second week of July, I believe.
July 6th. Yeah.
July 6th, yeah. So that first weekend there, this is going to be a huge movie. It's going to, like you said, I think it's going to have that Infinity War bump to it. People are going to be rushing out to see more of Marvel. Now, there's going to be the confusion, I think, for the common moviegoer as to why this movie doesn't even really address Infinity War.
Right.
Because this is the first one that's really out of sequence. Outside of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is a bit out of sequence, but it didn't matter. This is dislocated from the main Avengers story.
Right.
So this is the first time in Captain Marvel 2 in early 2019 that we're going to have the story not be linear.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting take. Now the question is, when you're going to do your MCU marathon again for Avengers 4, do you watch Ant-Man and the Wasp before Avengers 3, or do you keep it on rotation of when they were released? I
think it depends on the post-credit scene.
That's true, yeah. You don't want to get spoiled.
No, because I guess you could watch post-credit scene after. Because I think the post-credit scene, or at least the end, you're going to see someone fading. Maybe the Wasp or Hank Pym. I think it's going to really address it, like it has to.
Yeah.
Because outside of that, we didn't get any real reference to Ant-Man and the Wasp in Infinity War. And the director said, one of the reasons is they have their own movie coming out a couple months later. So they're going to have their time to shine. They'll get it in Avengers 4 as well. We know that at least Ant-Man's in that film.
What they should do is release the Avengers 4 trailer, because that would put in $100 million in their box office.
There is a potential. I don't think they will, though. Well, they might.
They did that with Avengers 1.
They did. They put that. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
At the end of Captain America, which was in July, a year away. There you go.
I cracked the code. Kevin Feige.
There you go. So we may see.
Because think about
or a title reveal, maybe.
Oh, okay, yeah, they should do something, because that is at least $50 to $100 million in box office.
I didn't think it would be that close, but you're right.
Yeah.
Like there is an opportunity to start building hype for Avengers 4 in July. It's only a couple months away.
Yeah, it'd only be about like 10 months away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild. But actually, basing off of our comments here about this looking a bit more like a comedic film, this actually segues quite nicely into Grab's question of the week.
Grab's granite. Grab's granite. Grab's granite.
There it is.
Grab's granite.
Just for you, Grabs. All right, guys. Grabs writes in this week, the subject being unbridled happiness. Hello, Tim, Troy, and Sunjay. Sorry, dude. Troy is not here this week. There's comedic moments in most movies. Even the most serious dramas have moments to ease the tension. This is especially true in comic book movies. The scenes in the Avengers where the Hulk shows Loki what a puny god he really is one of my favorite comedic moments. My question for you this week is, what are some of your favorite laugh-out-loud moments in comic book movies as well as comic books? What comedic moments have not worked for you? And lastly, who's the funniest hero and non-hero character in comics or the movies and TV series they inspire? Thanks in advance. Grabs.
Great question, Grebs.
Love him every week.
Every week he's bringing the questions.
Yeah, just bring the heat.
He's like a reliever in baseball.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
He comes in just for that 9th inning.
Yeah.
Boom.
3
done.
outs with his question, and then he's done.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah.
All right, so comedic moments in movies. Now, MCU is just particularly good at this, I feel. But I agree with you in some of your criticisms as we've done the retrospective series that they do have a tendency sometimes to be improperly placed and they really take away from an intense moment in a film. So off the top of your head, what are some of your favorite comedic moments in all of comic book film?
All right, so I'm going to go back about 10 years ago to my personal favorite, one of my personal favorite comic book movies of all time, The Dark Knight. And we have Heath Ledger in there who plays, like, it was crazy because he was able to make you laugh like this was a comedy, but also make you crap your pants like you're in a horror film.
Yeah.
Just that duality that he had that I've never seen it done like since or before. So the two comedic parts is the one when he's dressed up as the nurse and he sees Harvey Dent. And, and he he killed Harvey Dent's girlfriend. He has his face half burned from the Joker. Like, this guy's done horrible things to him. He just looks at Two-Face and he just goes, hi.
Yeah.
Like, just that one
That
bit.
is good.
Yeah, like that. Oh, I lost it in the theater.
The best part about that moment, too, is he's looking at him being like, I know I've really effed with you.
Yeah.
Huh. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That didn't even cross my mind. I love that.
Oh man, that was just like, as I said, like, I know we just got like an amazing villain in Thanos, so not to take away from him, but Heath Ledger's Joker for me is
Next
still
level.
It's just insane what he was able to do. And like, people were saying, like, remember when he got cast? Everyone said it was a stupid casting and it wasn't gonna work. Yeah, he showed everyone wrong.
Yep.
The other two, actually, I just remembered 2 scenes. The one with the pencil trick, of course.
Oh, yeah.
I remember people at the theater laughing at that.
Da-da.
Yeah. And when he blows up the hospital, there's a problem with the explosions, and it wasn't actually it was supposed to go off, but it didn't.
Yeah, improvise.
Yeah, and it improvised. Like, that was actually Heath Ledger getting scared
Yeah.
from the explosion. So, I mean, The Dark Knight, a very serious film. When we talk about the most serious comic book film, that's probably like number 1. But there's still, as Grab said, those hilarious moments in the film.
Yeah, and the key for me with comedic moments, especially in film, is that they have to relieve the tension at the right time, but also have to be delivered by the right character.
Yeah.
You can't have Bruce Wayne, especially the Bruce Wayne we've seen in the last few movies, cracking jokes.
Yeah.
And you leave it to guys like Aquaman. You leave it to guys like even Cyborg or Flash, right?
Right.
The appropriate characters. When you turn to the Marvel Universe, you've got Tony Stark, you've got Thor now, you've got the Guardians of the Galaxy, you've got the appropriate characters delivering those lines. You don't want Steve Rogers running around cracking jokes the whole time.
Right.
He can play a very serious and almost naive humor. And when he introduced himself to Groot, like he was
That was great.
yeah, he was very sincere about that.
Yeah.
But it was funny. It played well.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
about giving those lines to the right characters at the right moments and breaking that tension when it needs to. Because I'm trying to think what moments are things that have been severely undercut in the past. Like Thor Dark World did a lot of that.
Yeah, that. And we never found out if Darcy lives in Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah, she probably.
Or Natalie Portman's character.
Doesn't matter.
Or Dr. Selvig.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters.
There's a lot of characters that Thor just kind of dropped.
Yeah, good punch on the side,
Yeah.
Yeah, I for me, some of my favorite moments have come in the last couple of years, and last year especially with Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, that was great.
That was one of the funniest MCU films that I've seen, and I love that. Those were true laugh out loud moments. And when we're talking about like Thor Ragnarok, you got to mention Korg.
Oh yeah, Korg was amazing.
I love that for a character that has such a minor role.
Yeah.
In comic books, and to come across that well, that's why we were probably a little disappointed that he wasn't in Infinity War.
Right.
But he's much more suited somewhere else. But the character is fantastic. I love him.
Love him.
And then Guardians, I gotta that's probably the real start to the proper comedic.
Yes.
And really delivering on an intense as well as comedic end to the MCU, because you got Star-Lord in there, Rocket, Groot did really well, and Drax.
Yeah.
He had some of the best laugh out loud moments in Infinity War.
He was hilarious.
Oh, he was so good. I can't say enough good things about Dave Bautista and his delivery of that character.
Who would have thought that like a former wrestler like Dave Bautista would be one of the best characters And then you have another former wrestler in The Rock, who's like one of the best actors.
Yeah, he's the biggest actor on the planet right now.
Yeah, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, both insane. But and then going back to, I think this is we haven't talked about Guardians of the Galaxy in a retrospective series that will come up here soon. But the dance-off moment.
Yes.
So that might be a moment that went a little far, and they made fun of it a little bit in Infinity War here when Drax is like, tell him about the dance-off to save the universe.
Yeah.
Like, they poked fun of that.
That was great.
I like that. But that is a moment that really undercut that big epic finale for me.
Yeah, I agree. And especially with Ronan the Accuser, who's such a badass in the comic books. You know, to him to get taken down like that, I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't want to pick on that movie because that was such a great movie. But some of the stuff that didn't work for me, even though I love this film and I actually really enjoyed it, but the new Justice League film, I thought, as you said, some of the things that Batman was saying when he was mentioning, like, he's like, well, I don't not like him. I was like, that's just such a not Batman thing to say. Yeah. Or when Flash falls on top of Wonder Woman and then it's just like his face is in her chest and it's just so awkward. I was like, why would you put that in? You know, those are like some stuff I didn't enjoy that film. Or like Superman's like, oh, death was itchy. Like some of the stuff, like they could have changed that to make it a stronger film, I thought. And it's just, you know, it goes all about the tone. While I did like it, I think if they changed those, I think, you know, not just those three things, but some of the other stuff, it would have been a much stronger film for everyone that saw it.
The delivery of Aquaman's lines, like those are some of the best.
Those are great, yeah.
Yeah, and it makes sense coming from him.
Yeah,
he's a character that, yeah, exactly. He's a character that has the ability, and he's an actor have the ability to deliver those lines, because those things kind of got to go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. Like, you can give the funniest lines in the world to a character, and if they can't deliver them, it doesn't make any sense. If you remember Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, Gamora delivers a line when she's talking to Star-Lord at one point. Yeah. There's very much a Drax line, the sticks up their butts line. Yeah. And it never made any sense. Like, the delivery and the character didn't fit that line. Mm-hmm. That was played very much like she didn't have that knowledge, which didn't make sense. It was like, we need to give a funny line to Gamora, but that's not the character.
No, not at all. She's a much more serious person.
Exactly. So they played her a lot better in Infinity War.
I agree.
Not that she was played bad ever.
Oh,
like,
no.
The writing's fantastic. There's that one kind of weird standout moment.
Yeah.
So what about Deadpool?
Oh, yeah. You know, that's just totally flown over the radar for me. But yeah, like, that is probably the funniest comic book movie of all time.
It's at the top there. It's a very different humor.
Yeah, it's very dark, very like black comedy where it's like winking at the fourth wall and breaking that fourth wall. I thought it was hilarious. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while. I'm probably gonna rewatch it before I check out Deadpool 2. But yeah, I thought it was hilarious.
I'd have to agree. I think Deadpool in himself for a single delivery is probably one of the best. Yeah. Ryan Reynolds embodies that character. Yeah. They pulled it right out of the comic books, and it's humor. It has to be humor you're walking in willing to accept, because like you said, it's black humor, it's dark humor, it's gruesome at times, it's rude, whatever, but you don't go into Deadpool expecting any less. No. You know, we'd come out being like, they kind of missed the concept of the character. Yeah,
like if Deadpool 2 isn't rated R, already you know it's not going to be as good as Deadpool 1. And you know, as I said on Twitter, I'm a little bit nervous if Disney does buy Deadpool and Fox, if they're going to change the character. Now, it doesn't sound like they are, so hopefully, you know, they stick to their guns and they release that R-rated Deadpool, because I don't think a PG-13 Deadpool would really work.
No, an MCU Deadpool really doesn't work. A Deadpool referencing the MCU,
yeah, absolutely,
works, but not an MCU referencing Deadpool.
No,
like, they got to remain separate, and I think that Disney can accomplish that if they go down the path, and eventually, I don't even know where that's at, the acquiring of Fox Studios and all that.
Yeah, I mean, who knows where they're at, but even with Deadpool crossing over with the other X-Men films, I don't really want to see Deadpool in Days of Future Past. No. You know, keep them separate, maybe have like an X-Force where they cross over, but his brand of comedy works better as a solo film.
Definitely. Yeah. Agreed. Now, what about non-hero characters in comic books, movie, or TV? So when you think it's funny that isn't really the title character, we'll say, or title hero.
I think actually Jeremy Irons in Batman v Superman was pretty hilarious when he kept ripping on Bruce Wayne for, you know, he's like, drinking again, or he's like, you're not going to leave the next generation anything. He's like, not that there'll be a next generation. I thought Jeremy Irons' delivery was pretty great.
That deadpan, like, very serious, but with a slight hint of comedy to it.
Oh, yeah, the kind of, like, just twisting the knife a little bit in him. Yeah, he's like, even you've got too old to die young. I thought that was great. I thought he was great. Alfred. I mean, as I said, like Alfred's great.
Michael Caine has some good real lines. They're not so comedic.
Yeah, like when he fails and he's like, "Oh, I told you so," or something. Like that was great. Just the little lines, and that's what you need with Alfred. He's like that mentor, that father figure. So yeah, Alfred's great. I can't think of any others right now.
I quite like Jarvis and Friday.
Okay,
the AIs,
yeah.
Iron Man's AIs. I find they added a really interesting dynamic, and the delivery of Paul Bettany, now Vision, in the Jarvis through the first 3 Iron Mans and Avengers 1 and Avengers 2, or towards the end of Avengers 2, is great. I love it. It brings a different element. You have someone interact with Tony Stark inside of the helmet, so he's not just him flying around breathing the whole time. So it gives a whole nother dynamic to that. Their interplay, Downey's ability to kind of go back and forth with Jarvis is a lot of fun. So I think he elevates Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. In those scenes, and it's very required because when you think in retrospect on Iron Man flying around in the heads-up display, you need him talking to something. Otherwise, it's just stuff on the screen.
Yeah.
And him yelling and screaming, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
No. So those are probably my non-hero characters that I really enjoy.
Those are pretty good.
Yeah. All right, Grabs. Well, thank you very much for another fantastic question. We look forward to your contributions next week.
Yeah, what's it going to be?
Yeah, who knows?
Bring the heat. Guess the grabs.
Bring the heat. All right, man. We're going to jump into a little bit of DC talk. This is going to be quickly followed with a DC-related question from our dude, Carlos Candido of the Tumbling Saber podcast. But I want to touch on some DC news here before we jumped into that. DC is coming out with a streaming service. Now, this service is going to be called DC Universe, and it's going to be explicitly DC content. So this is kind of the first of its kind. It's seemingly going to be some sort of all DC immersive experience that we're going to get. They announced the first exclusive original series in Titans.
Yeah.
Which looks pretty cool. They put out a title card for that. And it looks like we're also going to get a Swamp Thing, a Young Justice Outsiders. I'm not sure if that's a film or season 3.
Season 3,
Season 3, yeah. And then DC Harley Quinn.
Yeah, so an animated R-rated Harley Quinn show.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
Wow. Didn't know that.
Margot Robbie might actually voice Harley Quinn.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. So I must say, this announcement has actually got me really excited. Even though I'm in Canada and we don't get this service, I heard that they will be sharing this on Netflix for us Canucks.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So they must have cut some sort of deal with Netflix. Got a ton of money because I don't know why they wouldn't come to Canada. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But anyways, this is really cool. I mean, to me, this moves the needle. Some of the shows they announced, like a Swamp Thing, such a cool...
Is it animated or live action?
I believe it's live action, and it's going to be produced by James Wan.
So I did hear this, yes.
Yeah, director of Aquaman, and he's done some of the scariest films I've ever seen. So this is like a more horror-related superhero, supernatural. Maybe this could be like a proving ground where, okay, this is Swamp Thing, the TV series. People love it. We're going to give you now a Swamp Thing movie that doesn't, that's different than this TV show. So hopefully, that's what they're doing, because I would love to see these characters in the TV shows in the movies. I much prefer movies to TV shows. Like a Teen Titans, we just have X-Men. We have like 9 X-Men films. You could easily have like 6 Teen Titans films, because there's so much in that history of that franchise. Swamp Thing as well. But what they're giving us, and this is exciting. I mean, I'm a DC guy. Of course I'm going to get excited. Tim, are you excited for these news?
I'll definitely be checking stuff out if it's on Netflix. I wouldn't say particularly that there's anything here that's going to drive me to buy an independent streaming service from them.
Yeah.
But like this Titans thing looks cool. The Young Justice, I haven't seen any of the seasons, but you guys gave it rave reviews the first 2 seasons. And this DC Harley Quinn thing, rated R cartoon, I'll definitely be checking this out. But I guess my question I got to ask is, do you think this is going to be now in lieu of their animated Blu-ray division? Because that's something that's been cooking fairly hot for the last 5-6 years. And that's something that a lot of people give DC a lot of credit for. If you're going to compare it directly to Marvel, Marvel's animated stuff isn't particularly strong. I said it, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, but DC's is very strong, and they seem to have a consistent wave of new material coming out. We just got, last year was the adaptation of The Killing Joke.
That's right, yeah.
And we're seeing a lot more of that coming out. That was an R-rated cartoon, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah. And it was actually released in theaters for a couple of days. It made like 5-6 million in theaters.
2 weeks it was in theaters. So do you think that they're going to move away from that and release all this on this exclusive streaming service?
I think they'll kind of do both because you need content for this streaming service.
Yeah.
But if you can release it on a disc and get $20 from like me, you know, I think they're gonna see, you know, release it and maybe check out, you know, if people are still buying it, okay, we'll keep doing it. But I mean, if people stop buying it, maybe this could be an avenue for canceled projects that, you know, for whatever reason aren't going forward. Because, you know, if you think about it, this could bring in a lot of money. Say it's like $5 a month. I think Netflix is what, $10 a month?
Yeah.
So maybe say $5 a month. If you have maybe 5 million subscribers, that's 25 million bucks a month you're getting that you wouldn't otherwise be getting. So over a year, that's like over 250, that's like $300 million that extra revenue. I mean, that's why everyone's chasing the streaming service because Netflix is just printing money right now.
Yep.
And, you know, you need something to bring people in. So these animated films, I imagine the whole catalog of past DC stuff will be added to this.
I would assume so. I'm still going to get the movies, so the new DC Extended Universe, the Burton stuff, Nolan stuff. So being that WB owns that whole catalog,
yeah,
there should be no issue putting that all on there. I think what they need to do, though, is have a lot of more exclusive content.
Yeah.
Because as a fan looking in, most people, especially when you're going back, that are in that kind of fan realm, have access to most of those films, whether it be DVD or whatever. So they need to do the same thing that Disney needs to do and the same thing that Netflix has had to evolve to, and that's producing their own content, their own original content to drive people to the service. You can only get this here.
Yeah.
So I think given their kind of wide breadth and the depth of their catalog, they can do a lot of that. They can put Batman in the animated series. Maybe we get another season of that.
Oh, can you imagine?
How
That'd
awesome
be huge.
would that be?
Oh, that'd move the needle.
Yeah, it would. They need to do things like that to drive people to this. So it's exciting. I like and I don't like the idea of a streaming service because I feel like I'm going to have like 10 streaming services I have to pay for.
Yeah, cable's going to be dead in 5 years.
Because I have to have Netflix. I'm going to have the Disney streaming service.
Right.
Probably jump into this if it's on Netflix. That's fair. But we're seeing this really segregate the market. Everyone's trying to get a little piece of this pie. I think eventually you're going to see it all collapse into a couple big ones. Yeah. Like Netflix will consume this and, you know, so on and so forth. Disney has a big enough catalog now, even with Fox. Hundreds of movies, thousands of TV shows. You know, there's a lot to produce, a lot to put out. But to me, it's all going to come down to original content. And they're starting off on the right foot.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first step. But as you said, they got to keep going. You know, maybe we'll call this season 1 with these 4 shows. And then next year, maybe we'll get, I don't know, something crazy. Like we'll get a Wonder Woman animated series and an Aquaman animated series and a live action. I was going to say Flash, but he already has it. Like a live action.
Cyborg. And I guess you couldn't really do Cyborg. You need the CGI. But
something like that. Yeah, something like that. Or like they're supposed to do a Metropolis as well, which was going to be like Gotham, where it was Metropolis before Superman arrives.
That's cool.
So it's going to focus on Lois Lane and Lex, but I guess like they tested it out and it didn't really seem to click. So maybe they're going to try it again with maybe change the concept. Who knows? But I mean, as you said, like you think of the TV shows that DC has put out throughout the years. You have Flash, you have you have Arrow, you have Supergirl,
Gotham,
you have Smallville, you have the New Adventures of Lois and Clark.
So there's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff, yeah, a lot of seasons,
hundreds of hours of content.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, Netflix has so much that you got to compete with them because you know $5 a month doesn't seem like a lot, but if Netflix is only charging $10 a month,
yeah. Well, and the thing is too that they have to be so cognizant of is stagnation will kill this service.
Oh yeah.
You need to have constantly evolving. And the only issue I could ever see with this is that if they're narrowing their content to just being DC, there's a chance that you're not going to have kind of the new uploads unless they have spread these out enough where you have Titans released 24 weeks in a row. And then the next 10 weeks is Harley Quinn. So you're constantly having new content every single week. That makes sense. Because Netflix benefits from that. They even have deals now with shows like Riverdale and Scandal. The day they air live on cable, the next day they're up on Netflix.
That's crazy.
So you're going to need stuff like that. And you may see that with Arrow and Flash and all that, where those shows debut on the CW, but then you see them on Netflix or the DC universe the next day. Those are the type of things they need to do to bring people into the service.
Yeah, it's an exciting time, and hopefully it works.
Yeah. So we have a question here from our dude Carlos Candido. Shout out from the Tumbling Saber podcast. He does their main show as well as Sith Disturbers. He has got an interesting question as it relates to DC.
All right.
He has a statement followed by a question.
You only get one.
Marvel needs to buy DC if there will be any hope of DC making a good movie. Pause. I kind of like Justice League, but after watching Infinity War, it's not even in the same sport. DC is so far away. So the question is, could Marvel or any other entity buy DC to save it? Does it need saving? Thoughts? Carlos.
Oh, first off, Carlos, thank you very much for listening to us and for sending us a question. That's great. So I do have some thoughts on his question.
Yeah, let's hear them.
So I will say this, setting up a shared universe, what DC is in the process of doing, what Marvel has already done, it's not an easy thing to do. If you look at everyone else that has tried to set up this shared universe concept, each and every one of them has failed already, except for DC, which is like the only other one that's kind of still kicking around besides Marvel. I mean, obviously Marvel's successful. We all know that. Putting that aside, if you look at the Dark Universe, that lasted one movie. We look at Transformers. They're trying to do something with like Bumblebee. Who knows how that's going to go? There's so many, like I think G.I. Joe and Ninja Turtles were supposed to have like a crossover. I don't see that happening anytime soon. It's a lot of work to get this shared universe up and running. So, they've had 5 movies so far. And, and you compare that. So, you look at how much money they've made over these 5 movies. And you compare that with the MCU, with their phase 1. And that was 6 movies. They've made about the same amount of money between the two of them already. So, I mean, if you look at them, I know people weren't particularly happy with movies like Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, but they made a ton of money, especially like a Suicide Squad. When you look at that, I mean, there was no big characters in it, like no Batman, no Superman, and it didn't even go out in China, and it still made over 700 million. And that was despite having terrible reviews. So, I mean, if you look at the money-wise, they're doing pretty good. And now Aquaman's coming out, and I haven't seen any trailers from it. The only people that saw was CinemaCon, and that wasn't even finished yet. But from what I've heard nothing but positive things about it. James Wan's a great director. And then you see stuff coming out with Shazam and David Sandberg, who's another great director who's done a lot of good horror stuff. So, I feel like... patience is the key. I feel like they're turning the corner in terms of the fan response. I've been there since day one, but I know a lot of people have been kind of on and off of these films. So I will say, I feel like they're turning the corner in terms of like the fan response. And I feel like Aquaman will go a long way, much like Wonder Woman did, where it went a long way in terms of bringing people into the bandwagon of DC. And I will say, like Marvel... Now they're giving us hit after hit after hit. Like you look at the last 5 films, they've all made like a ton of money. They've all been well received. They've been running on all cylinders for like a little bit now. But if you look at how they started out, Iron Man 1 was great, but then the next film, Incredible Hulk, actually lost money. Iron Man 2, when that came out, remember there was so much backlash against that film. They said they're trying to build this universe. Yeah. And you go back now and you're like, what do you mean? There's not that much in it.
Exactly. There's not much world building in there.
Yeah, a little bit. But at the time, we were like, oh my goodness. Yeah. And then you look at Thor and Cap, they did okay in the theaters, but Captain America, I think the first one made like 150 million.
It is 65 its opening weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing to what it was. And you look at some of the directors, they had some growing pains as well. I mean, you have directors like Joss Whedon, who with his Age of Ultron, he was unhappy what Marvel was doing to the project. And then you had stuff like Patty Jenkins was supposed to do Thor: The Dark World.
Terrence Howard left. Terrence Norton left.
Yeah, and what's the dude's name that was in Iron Man? Ivan Vanko.
Yeah, Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke left. Even recent movies like Ant-Man, Edgar Wright was supposed to direct that. He left. And even Black Panther, Ava DuVernay was supposed to direct that. They approached her first and she turned it down because she was worried about studio interference. So you look at some of the DC directors that have been leaving, like especially the Flash project. Yeah. I mean, that project's been in development hell for a long, long time. But like that's not unsimilar to what Marvel was going through at the beginning. I think they're just going through their growing pains now. They've got like new people in, and I hope that they figured it out. And I hope that Aquaman's a hit. And if I think if Aquaman's a hit, like that's the pivot to me. Yeah. If Aquaman's a hit and it does say 300 million in North America.
It's well received.
It's well received. You know, it's fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. It's the second fresh. Then you've got 2 franchises, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, that are off and running. And then you got the Batman, you know, when that gets made by Matt Reeves. I have so much faith in that project. Matt Reeves, the Planet of the Apes, what he did with Planet of the Apes is
so good.
Such a good franchise. And Shazam, you know, so say like those 4 hit, you've got 4 franchises, you're off and running, you're golden. So I think it all comes down to Aquaman. I think there's a lot of pressure. That's why we haven't seen anything, because James Wan is really trying to nail this. The CGI it has to be on point. The CGI is like haphazard. This movie's going to sink. So I think that's why, you know, the first trailer has to get that kind of...
It does, the buzz.
It has to have that buzz. And that's why we haven't seen anything yet. So I think they're trying to nail that. And I think that's the pivot. So, Carlos, thank you very much for the question. But I can say is preach the patience, because I believe it's going to happen and it's going to turn the corner. But if Disney did buy DC, I think that would be very bad for us fans.
Yeah, you need that competitive nature. This comes down to the comic books. This comes down to anything, really, is that having a competitor drives innovation. It drives the need and want to do better and bigger things. So I think having DC as its own entity is of value to Marvel.
Yeah.
Because they're pushing the envelope. They're pushing each other. You saw the big head-to-head with Civil War and Batman v Superman. In my perception of this whole idea, I don't think Marvel needs or Disney needs to buy DC. I don't think anyone else needs to buy DC. The good thing that DC has right now going for them is WB owns them outright. So they have control of all of their characters, both from the TV side and the film side. So they can do really whatever they want. They need a person that is kind of driving the ship. And it seems like people are starting to fall out of that a little bit. Snyder didn't appear to be the guy. They wanted him to be the guy, but he wasn't that. But overall, I think that what you're saying here is patience, is that they did try to rush into something. They wanted to get to Marvel's level in half the amount of time. That's just not something that they really achieved. And I think what we've benefited from when it relates to this discussion is our retrospective series. We've gone back and looked at all these films, particularly Phase 1 films and even the early Phase 2 films where they stumbled after Avengers. And a lot of people forget about those films because in retrospect or in hindsight, the films that came after have made them better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I enjoy Cap 1 a lot more because of Winter Soldier, the Winter Soldier effect, how we preach this. So they need to approach it with that in mind. And we as a fandom need to think of it in that way too, that Marvel films have been good, but they've been really, really good since 2014. But let's remember, this universe started in 2008. Yeah, Iron Man was a hit. It was an awesome film. Avengers in 2012 was an awesome film. But all the other films, I've recommended them, and I personally really love them. But you take a cross-section across fandom, and you ask them, do you like Iron Man 3? Do you like Thor the Dark World? Most people are going to give it at best. Yeah. And that's kind of what our reviews landed on. I thought Iron Man 3 had a lot more merit to it, but Thor the Dark World, none of us recommend it. Said he gets a total skip.
Yeah.
So let's remember that Marvel did have those stumbling blocks. And yes, I have been critical of DC in the past, and I agree that at this point in time, they're not on the same playing field as Avengers. But let's put DC in that Phase 1 playing field. You can't compare them right now. Like, they're on totally different planes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and you look at the MCU, I ask you which franchise is on their level right now. I mean, even Star Wars, like Star Wars is the biggest thing, but there was some fan backlash with the Last Jedi, and even with Solo, the concept of the film coming out.
Yeah, boycotting? Like, what's that about?
Well, yeah, like people that are mad that Disney bought Star Wars. It makes me laugh because before that you had 40 years and you had 6 Star Wars films, and now you get 4 Star Wars films in 4 years. Maybe the problem isn't Disney buying Star Wars. Maybe they weren't Star Wars fans to begin with. But like, what else competes with Marvel? The box office has shown nothing competes with it,
and even the consistent quality of film, nothing.
Yeah, look at Transformers, Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, these are some of the biggest franchises. Yeah. James Bond. Like, none of these films, movie in and movie out, have been able to compete with Marvel. And I looked at Box Office Mojo, and like DC Extended Universe it's only 5 films in, and it's already, I think, the top 10 highest grossing film franchises of all time.
$2 or $3 billion.
Yeah, I mean, 2 or 3 billion out of 5 movies. That's pretty good haul. I think
domestically,
like Warner Brothers is making some pretty good money here. So
I think what they need to do, they need to take and not be afraid to take the blueprint that Marvel's laid out for the world to see, follow a little bit of that, and once they get that strong foundation, then they can do their own thing. Then they can take another shot at Justice League or whatever you want to call Teen Titans, something more of an ensemble film. But it's about getting, like you said, Aquaman out, Wonder Woman 2 out, Shazam, the Batman. It looks like they've taken a step back and said, we're not going to rush this anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to avoid these big crossovers, and we're going to take this slow and steady approach. We're going to build this up, and then we'll cross these guys over when the time is right. And that to me is what they're doing now. Pumping the brakes, going for the big kind of 40,000 foot view on this, mapping things out a bit more is the way to go. So I think DC, I think they're on the right path. I agree. They're nowhere near Marvel right now, but let's give them another 5 years and see if we're having the same conversation.
Exactly.
If we are, then yeah, maybe someone needs to buy them.
Yeah, exactly. But getting back to that, even say Disney buys DC and they buy Fox and they buy Sony. Disney, as big as they are, they only have a limited amount of money. So when you have different companies owning the different properties, you get more films. One of the things is Warner Brothers owns everything, but you only get like 1 or 2 films a year, like way back in the day. Not even 1 or 2 films. You get 1 or 2 films like every once in a while, and they're always either Batman or Superman. Marvel had sold their rights, so we had X-Men at Fox, we had Spider-Man, and then it forced Marvel to put some of their lesser-known characters in.
Yeah, it did.
So, I mean, because everyone else owned a different piece of the pie, they put in their money to those guys and they hitched their wagon to those guys. If Marvel owned all their characters, I guarantee they wouldn't have started with Iron Man. They would have started with Spider-Man or X-Men.
Yeah.
100%. So
we would have just begun to Captain America.
We never would have got a Guardians of the Galaxy film. Marvel owned them all.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
No,
Doctor Strange.
We would have probably gotten like 8 Spider-Man films and 8 X-Men films. So I mean, not saying that's a bad thing, but we got the variety. So you want the variety, and as well the tones of the films are different. You look at the DC films and the MCU films. They each have like a sort of like not formula, but their own like flavor to them. And if you're in the mood for something darker, you can check out Christopher Nolan, the Batman Begins or whatever, or you can check out the Snyder stuff. But if you want something like a little bit more lighter tone, you have 18 movies in the MCU to check out.
There you go.
Or 19 now, sorry.
Variety is good.
Variety is the spice of life.
Yes, there you go. All right, my dude. We did have a few Star Wars things to talk about here, but I think maybe we'll push them to next week, and we'll end and cap off with our DC discussion there. We'll have Troy back at the table next week to discuss a bit about Charles Soule next arc on Vader, which he announced about him getting Fortress Vader, which is pretty cool, which we did see in Rogue One, and the new Star Wars Resistance TV show. So maybe we'll save that for next week because we're pushing up here on an hour and a half, and we'll jump into that discussion when Troy's back at the table, and we can have a bit more of a holistic view because hopefully we stop playing the Nerd Room musical chairs. We got the 3 of us sitting down talking about Star Wars, Marvel, and DC.
Yeah, who's going to be here next?
Who knows? Might not even be me or you.
Yeah, I mean...
Might just be Troy.
Thanos snapped his finger. I was gone last week, and now Troy's gone this week.
Boom, I guess it's my turn to take off. All right, guys. First of all, thank you very much to those that sent in questions. Grabs and Carlos.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We enjoy answering those, and we enjoy tying them in to kind of the bigger discussions around DC and Marvel this week. If you guys haven't seen Avengers Infinity War, get out there and see it.
Yeah, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, come on, get up. Stop listening to this. Go see it right now because we're pretty much at the end here. And if you guys would like to be a part of the Nerd Room, you can always email us at thenerdrm@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Facebook or YouTube. Also over on YouTube, you can check out Sunjay's weekly videos going through his Blu-ray finds.
That's right. Yeah, I just had one because I was sick, so I missed one, but I was back with a vengeance this week.
Avengers.
Oh, I like it.
And you can always grab us on Twitter. Our handles are at the end of the episode. Be sure to check us out on thenerdroom.net as well. And you can find our page also on the StarWarsCommonwealth.com website. All right, man, I'm glad we were able to discuss all the news this week. It was great having you back at the table, and I look forward to more discussion next week. But until then, for the Nerd Room, I'm Tim.
And I'm Sunjay.
And thank you for entering the Nerd Room. This has been a Nerd Room podcast production. You can find our hosts, Tim, Troy, and Sunjay on Twitter at TheNerdRM, TroyTheBoy87, and Sunjabby. For more content from the Nerd Room, check out thenerdroom.net. And don't forget to subscribe to the Nerd Room on iTunes, Podbean, and YouTube. Be sure to head over to StarWarsCommonwealth.com to find more podcasts in the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network, including Talk Star Wars, Tumbling Saber, Generation X-Wing, Rogue Squadron Podcast, Skyrims Podcast, and San Diego Sabers. Follow the Star Wars Commonwealth on Twitter at SW Commonwealth and take your first steps into a larger world.